welcome to the Burrow. I'm Hillary, your resident fragrance-loving muggle. Now today we actually have our first ever episode of Fragrant Fictions, and this is where we add fragrances to characters in books, TV series, movies, video games, anything along those lines. So Hagrid from the Harry Potter series is going to be our first victim. So if you're interested to hear what kind of fragrances he might be interested in, stay tuned. So for our first episode of Fragrant Fictions, we're going to be looking into Hagrid, everyone's favorite half-human, half-giant wizard. He was the gatekeeper at Hogwarts, he later taught care of magical creatures, and was also a member of the Order of the Phoenix. Now, I picked out 3 fragrances that I felt best suit him. 2 of the 3 are actually fragrances that I would probably wear. I have decants of 2, and I only have a sample of the 3rd. So let's get started. Okay, so the first fragrance that I have picked out for Hagrid is Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme. Now, this fragrance contains notes of leather, cypress, woody notes, vetiver, and patchouli. It is earthy, it is animalic, it is almost oily. The leather is probably the main thing that I smell in this fragrance, but it has almost a sludgy characteristic to it, with this beautiful earthy patchouli underneath that everything just sits on. Now, as far as projection with this fragrance goes, in the beginning that leather is really kicking and it's kind of overpowering, but after probably an hour it becomes a bit more of a skin scent and is much more formal. So I kind of feel like maybe he would wear this, this might just be the way he smells, when he's covered in his pelts and he's out working in the woods, but it also could be a fragrance that maybe he would wear to the Yule Ball or something just to fancy it up a little bit. But Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme, a really, really good fragrance. Definitely one that I would wear. It's not too animalic, although I know Castoreum isn't listed, but I feel like I kind of smell the nuttiness that Castoreum oftentimes puts off, so there may be something like that in it, but it's not too animalic that you can't get away with it. I would definitely wear this fragrance myself. Not a blind buy kind of fragrance, definitely one that you need to sample, especially if those things don't sound like they're your style, but it definitely sounds like something Hagrid would be into. The second fragrance that I've chosen for Hagrid is Tyrannosaurus Rex from Zoologist. Now, the entire Zoologist line, the artistry is amazing. This is definitely not a fragrance that I could get by with wearing at home, but I love to appreciate it for what it is. I will have a video on first impressions of the whole line. I'm working on editing it now, but look for it next week when it comes out. Anyways, back to TRex. Now, this fragrance has an insane amount of notes, but what I get from it most is cade, leather, some patchouli, and almost a hint of vanilla, and that sounds kind of silly, but the vanilla almost makes it more wearable. But one of the things that Hagrid is known for is trying to raise a dragon, Norbert, in his hut, which is a stupid place to have a dragon when you live in a straw-housed hut, or a straw-roofed hut. Anyways, one of my favorite parts in the books is where they describe his beard being singed, and this fragrance definitely reminds me of that. It smells a bit like a forest fire. I personally find it to be more wearable, I think, than City on Fire by Imaginary Authors. Also, love that house. Great house. We'll get to that later. But yeah, this definitely just reminds me of Hagrid walking around with his singed beard, just cooing and singing happily to his little baby dragon that is, leaving him bleeding, and he's just oblivious because he's a happy mom. We're pretty good at ignoring what happens to our bodies and everything because we have this cute little baby that we love. So if anything says dragon in a straw hut, it's Tyrannosaurus Rex from Zoologist. So the third and final fragrance I have for y'all today is Elborn by Carner, Barcelona. One of the main things that sticks out in my mind when I think about Hagrid is in the first book when he's taking Harry to Diagon Alley, they walk into the leaky cauldron and everyone that turns to them recognizes Hagrid. And that could be because he's a giant, which is believable, very easy to recognize, or it could be that he's a regular pub patron. So I started to think, well, if he is a regular pub patron, what kind of beverages does he drink? So when I was looking, I found out that he does not discriminate when it comes to magical ales. So I was like, let's find a boozy fragrance for him. Now this fragrance does not contain any notes of rum or anything else like that. However, its combination of vanilla and benzoin and Peru balsam and jasmine and sandalwood. It just makes this beautiful, creamy, boozy vanilla fragrance with a starchy, woody base, and it almost has a marshmallow-like texture. Now this was actually my scent of the day today. It is rich. It is gorgeous. It lasts so long. It is definitely a fragrance that a man can wear, a woman can wear. I mean, fragrance in general is genderless, but this fragrance is perfectly unisex. Definitely something that I would wear spring, fall, winter. Probably couldn't pull it off in the summer unless I was going to be indoors for the most part. But this is, like I said, a fragrance I wore today. One of my favorite fragrances of all time, and definitely one that you all should get your nose on because I think Hagrid likes it too. So I hope you guys all enjoyed my list of fragrances that I set today for Hagrid. That included Gucci Guilty Absolute, Tyrannosaurus Rex from Zoologist, and Elborn by Carner, Barcelona. I hope you guys stay tuned for our next episode of Fragrant Fictions. I'll actually be covering The Mandalorian next week, so if you're interested, stop by the Burrow again sometime soon. Thanks. Bye.